Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. So the passing of the Zadroga bill, thanks to Jon Stewart of all people, is an example of what Obama never did. We could have had a series of set pieces like this. You have a presidential press conference. You bring out some of the victims of whatever monstrosity the Republican reactionaries are supporting at a given time. In this case, it was the 9/11 first responders. Of course, the Republicans cynically traded on this event with these people's ruined lives for a decade. But then, of course, Coburn and Dement, the puppet of the Koch brothers, decide that it's got to be paid for. It's fiscally not responsible. They're throwing money. They're shoveling money out the door for the super rich, the top 1% who own 40% of the assets or thereabouts in this country. But when it comes to these first responders, they had to think twice. Now, what Stewart was able to do, therefore, was to apply the blowtorch of public opinion to these reactionary Republican thugs like Coburn and Dement and force them to cave. So they caved. They didn't cave on the $8 billion. They caved on $4 billion and some odd for 5 years of coverage. We could have had a series of things like this. Imagine press conference at the White House with Obama, a series of people who have been victimized by for-profit insurance companies. You do that for 2 or 3 months in a row, and people are going to be ready for Medicare for all. But, of course, that's exactly what Obama never did. It's the owl of Minerva always takes flight at dusk when it's too late. So on the last day of the lame duck session, after Obama has basically destroyed the moment, right, the moment that comes once in every 70 to 80 years, Obama successfully sabotaged it. At the end, you get this little glimmer of what it could have been if you'd had a real president, somebody on the caliber of Franklin D. Roosevelt coming in January 2009. The Republican Party could have been almost completely destroyed. These reactionary thugs would be heading for the hills, and instead they're about to make a comeback in grand style. A couple of things that go with it. Speculation is back big time in the oil market. Here we have a return of the rising oil prices peril here in the Wall Street Journal of December 20th. We had $145 a barrel back in October 2008. We had $4 to $5 gasoline, and now we're headed back that way. And the Wall Street Journal writes, to be sure, this time around, financial investors are playing a bigger role. How could it be bigger? Last time it was the London ICE exchange and their derivatives contracts that were the key to driving the price up to the $150 range, to the point where if you were paying $5 a gallon at the pump, you were paying $1 to Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley in terms of what they had done to bid up that price. This time around, financial investors are playing a bigger role. In the market for oil futures and options, investors such as hedge funds and exchange-traded funds have been piling into contracts that rise in value with their prices. As of December 7th, 2010, the bullish bets by these speculators exceeded their bearish bets by about 223 million barrels, the highest level on record. So we've had a 16% increase in the price of oil over the last 4 months. The dollar has fallen 2%, but you can see the difference is pure speculation. Energy costs are now absorbing 5.5% of the average American budget, up from 4.8% in the spring of 2009. So get ready for more pain. You want to stop this? Then stop the stupid free market claptrap. Let's get down to cases. 100% margin. You want to speculate in the oil market? Great. You put down 100% in cash. No borrowed money. No leverage. Leverage is zero. We need position limits. We can't have huge players, huge hedge fund hyenas or asset strippers coming in and buying a huge amount of the oil in this relatively restrictive market. We also need to distinguish between end users, who can be hedgers, and speculators. And the advantages go to the end users. The speculators have to have the field tilted against them. Otherwise, they will drive the price into interplanetary space. So what you've therefore got to do is to say you want to you want to buy derivatives, you want to use futures and options to speculate in there, you can do it as long as you've also you physically bought, and you're taking delivery of the products involved. Again, you can't do it in a naked fashion. You've got to be covered. You've got to own the other side of the trade with the intention of taking delivery. So right now it's $90 a barrel, and it's above $3 a gallon of gasoline. And look for that to go up, and look for Obama to capitulate more and more on that. The other side of it, right, speaking of Scrooges, the fraud closures have reached unbelievable new excesses. This past Wednesday, and that's the 22nd of December, the New York Times special story, zombie bankers are burglarizing the homes of Americans, not content with stealing the homes with their robo-signers, robo-judges, and bought and paid for local officials and this MERS system, this speculative crap game. We now have the zombie bankers and hedge fund hyenas actually burglarizing people's homes. This is the story of Mimi Ash of Truckee, California, who, after a harrowing couple of years, leaves her home for a while to go on a short vacation, comes back and finds that her home has been literally looted and ransacked by the agents of zombie bankers. In this case, Bank of America, obviously close to insolvency themselves and grasping for every straw, looting the homes of the American middle class. So remember the sack of Rome in 1527, the destruction of the Italian Renaissance. So the American dream now being systematically destroyed by these bankers. And I'm wondering, where are the Austrians? Where are the libertarians? Where are the guardians of the holy sacred grail of private property? We've got plenty of cases of American middle-class homeowners who are having their homes stolen. Maybe they never had a mortgage. Maybe they paid off their mortgage. Maybe they're perfectly current. Doesn't matter. Robo-signers, robo-judges, and they come and the home is stolen. And even before the home is stolen, they come home and find their personal belongings ransacked. This is a violation of the unreasonable searches and seizures. Unreasonable seizures are prohibited under the U.S. Constitution. Hey, libertarians, where are you on this issue? Do you exist? Or isn't it the case at the end of the day that the libertarians don't care about the property of the American middle class? They care about the property of the zombie bankers and the hedge fund hyenas and the associated asset strippers. We've also got to look at this whole Fannie and Freddie story. This is a complex story, but we've got a law firm, I guess it's called Stern, who show up as the protagonists of a lot of these illegal seizures. So remember, the only answer to that is stop foreclosures. Uniform federal law. No foreclosure on the primary residence of anybody in the United States. Primary residence, one home allowed per family for 5 years or for the duration of this world economic depression, whichever lasts longer. That's an echo of the Fraser-Lemke Act of 1935, which did that for family farms. We can do it for primary residences, and this applies in particular to any bank that has taken TARP money, bailout money, and or Federal Reserve largesse, $3.3 trillion. We've seen that in recent statistics. Anybody who benefited from that directly or indirectly, you don't foreclose on any American. This is the thank you from the zombie bankers to the American public. The fate of Mimi Ash, whose her husband's ashes were scattered. They're all gone. Everything she ever owned in her life, gone. The electricity cut off. One guy had a whole freezer full of salmon go bad on him. We'll be back in a minute.